Hey everyone, this is James from TDP here, bringing you another In-Betweenisode. Today I am going to be talking about a special Xiaguan production, the 2004 and 2011 FT Nanzhao. So this is a production that was turned on to me by Toby, who turned me on to a lot of different Xiaguan productions. Xiaguan in general, just a very good brand to get on if you like factory tea and you're very budget conscious. And this tea is one that honestly speaking, does not pass my speed test. I don't want to drink it very often. And that's not because it's too strong, like a lot of Xiaguan is, or too rough, or too pungent, or whatnot. It's almost because it's the opposite. It is very much a Xiaguan in name only tea, a Shino tea. But it's amongst the least aggressive, least smoky, least representative Xiaguan teas. But if you did force me to drink only Xiaguan for like a year, this would definitely be a pretty key part of my rotation, just because I've heard different people say that this is kind of like the boutique side of Xiaguan, and that's absolutely correct. This tea has a nice softness to it, and it's very, very smooth in a very fairly pleasing way. There is a rumor that the 2004 version in particular had banjiang in it. One of those things that's very, very difficult to prove or disprove, but I will tell you that if you have banjiang's image in mind, this does not fit that. And it's kind of a pretty production. It's this little tool. There are some tips kind of at the top. It's known as sort of like a golden tip blend. Again, so it's not made by kind of the main branch of Xiaguan. It's an FT production. But yeah, we'll get into it. So I have blinded these. I have a 2004. This is Malaysian stored. This LP sold this about a year ago. And a 2011 that was sent to me by Emilio. So thank you, Emilio, over at the Jade Leaf. That is presumably been Taiwan stored. They're both relatively reasonably priced. The 2011 in particular is really, really inexpensive. The 2004, I don't think LP has it anymore, but you could definitely find it around either on Taobao, or I think Quiche has it as well. Have not tried those specific versions. I was curious about the LP one just because it was Malaysian stored, and you know, Malaysian storage is a fun storage to come across. So yeah, let's get into these teas here. So yeah, 2004 and 2011. And this is one of those blinds that, I don't have these teas often, but probably should be pretty clear. This one smells a little wetter. I would probably guess that's the Taiwanese one. A little darker. So yeah, I definitely recommend people break up these tools pretty good. You definitely don't need to concern yourself with broken leaf. These are not that type of fancy production. So your goal is not to make a really pretty wet picture at the end, but to have a tasty cup of tea, in my opinion. Okay, so starting with this one on the right. And I'll be curious to hear if people have tried these. These curiously get not a lot of chatter about them as far as Xiaguan productions go. Maybe that part of that is just Xiaguan has made so many different teas throughout the years. Kind of this deep, dark raisin note coming off of that one on the left. A little spicier, a little darker here on the one on the right. So I think I'm going to reverse my guesses probably. Just because this is brewing a little darker as well. We would expect the 2004 to kind of present that way. And I was curious about the 2011 just because I thought maybe they changed the blend and maybe it's a little stronger. Sometimes the initial run of a blend can be like way different, sometimes way better than subsequent years. 2004 definitely sometimes gets priced fairly highly, but you can still find it. I mean, I don't think it's like it's certainly, you're not approaching boutique prices or anything like that. Cheers. It's soft. It's a little oily. Getting some nice pine sweetness in it. I think this would be very difficult to pick out as Xiaguan in a blind, a pure blind tasting. Does have a little bit of that menthol camphor. Maybe just a slight bit of drying astringency. That's something that you would definitely have to brew around if we're talking about more of a standard Xiaguan production. Certainly like a Jiaji tool or something like that would lean far more into kind of that burley wood. Very sweet. This one in particular on the left, very, very sweet tea. Some raisins, a little softer, I would say. It's not quite as thick as the tea on the right. Part of this could simply be the extraction as well. Tea on the left is definitely looking a little greener. So far, I would not say that there is a huge quality difference evident in this side-by-side. Using 4.3, 4.4 grams for 75 milliliters. A little under my normal leaf, but I've been filming a couple episodes today, so that is the reason. And yeah, these are a pretty small leaf, and I break it up pretty good. So we are probably approaching pretty high levels of extraction here. Okay, so here is tea on the left. Take a quick smell. Pine resin. This was a little more Xiaguan-like than I would have expected. Deeper, darker, fragrant. I like the nose on this one more. The one on the right is definitely presenting less green. And I'm struggling to remember. I do remember the Malaysian storage was rather dry, but certainly I would guess that this tea on the right is the Malaysian stored one from what we've had so far. And it's interesting having these in different contexts. The way I think about it is like you just kind of choose how you want to have the tea. If you want to side-by-side it, if you want to have it as part of like a big report, like the Xiaguan Masochist report I did a year ago. And they all provide you kind of a different angle or different insight into the tea. For instance, when I had the Xiaguan Masochist report, I had so many different Xiaguan teas. These teas really stood out because you're contrasting them pretty closely with other Xiaguan teas. So, for instance, you're comparing it with like an Iron Cake K653, which is loaded with Xiaguan taste, or like a Jiaji, which has this like burly pine wood thing going on. So these stood out quite a bit as far as the tools go. I think they are certainly amongst the smoother ones. But now coming back to it here, it's like this one on the left actually does smell a little Xiaguan-like to me. So what do you know? It's relatively smooth, but there is some greenness coming out. Pine. It's just kind of like a more refined Jiaji is what this is tasting like to me today. Yeah, I don't necessarily love that, but it is smooth as far as like a 2011 Xiaguan production would go. Cheers. Yeah, deeper, darker, sweeter, has a little bit of syrup mouthfeel and taste. This, on the other hand, does not taste like what I imagine Xiaguan tastes like at all. More in your antique wood shop. Neither one is particularly punchy, but I am preferring this one on the right. So let's do the quick reveal here. Yep, and sure enough, this is A, which would mean that it is the Malaysian stored one, and B, the Taiwan stored one. Just do one last one here, just to kind of get final tastes, final impressions of these guys. Contrasting them like this, they are a bit more different than I thought. Again, it's been quite a while since I've had both of these teas. Neither one would necessarily pass my speed test, but The antique wood on this is nice. The 2004 in particular, I think, is a decent place to be drank right now. I don't see a huge reason to keep waiting on it to age more. This feels pretty ready to go. So I think it's that nice Malaysian storage, just kind of pushing a already soft tea along to a nice spot. Interesting. Yeah, and I can taste the humidity that this tea has seen a lot more than I felt like I could the first go around, just because all of the teas were, pretty aggressively stored, because that's kind of how you got to do it with Xiaguan sometimes. And the greenness of this 2011 is coming out. Not a bad tea. In fact, I know some people that like this one quite a bit, but for me at least, I think it would need quite a bit more time. And even then, I'm not sure how exciting it would be. But, you could do a lot worse as far as like a daily drinker goes. And if you want to try it, the 2011 is definitely an inexpensive way to just get a sample from someone like Emilio and give it a shot, see if it kind of matches your own preferences. Cheers. Yeah, smooth, easygoing. No hint of a Banjong profile whatsoever that I can detect. The aftertaste or things like that are not quite as expansive, but we're talking about Xiaguan here, so don't quite get that. I feel like these are fairly surface level teas. And I do like the profile on this, kind of that antique wood shop that a lot of pourers move towards. And the 2011. Cheers. Yeah, and I think this comparison is really emphasizing for me the contrast between these teas, that this 2011 still has ways to go. It still is a little astringent. There's still some greener notes that are pretty pervasive in the tea too, that I don't necessarily love. So yeah, that concludes this in between. So thank you to Emilio for sending in the sample. And this one's from LP. Check out this Nanzhao. I do recommend people try these sorts of productions out. If you're looking to try different Xiaguan teas, definitely try out the classics, the Iron Cake 8653, ideally from 2005, one of the early versions. Try out the Jiaji tool, the Tuji tool. But also, once you're kind of beyond that layer, check out something like this, because Xiaguan does have a little bit more range than they usually, their reputation might suggest. So do check it out. Something like this, or the Gold Ribbon tool from 2004, 2006, 2007. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I will see y'all next time. Cheers.